Hey, it's Dave from CheapWinefinder.com again, and we have another wine. This time a Spanish wine, but a $10 Spanish wine, and Spanish wines are good for being $10 Spanish wines. If you go to the wine shop and, if you have it has a decent section, there'll probably be more 90-point wines in the Spanish section between maybe $8 and $12 than any other section. I mean, it's mostly Garnacha in that area. Tempranillo tends to cost a little bit more, but you can get some of the world's finest Garnachas for not too much money. You can also spend some money on Garnacha, but the younger stuff, the more reasonably priced stuff is pretty much everything is as good from more or less the same vineyards, kind of. And this wine here we have today is about vineyards, and I'll get into that if I can remember the name of it. And it's the, I'm going to say it in English. It's, Project Garnacha Salvaje del Moncayo. It is called the Garnacha Project for wild vineyards. I mean, it's what they do is they go and they find areas where there had one point been a lot of vineyards planted, and now they're not anymore. A lot of the vineyards have been pulled up and put to different use. I think I butchered the name of it because even though I'm very fluent in Spanish, those were the words I don't know. And then they find these old vineyards and they put them back together again, which is like kind of a cool way. If you're looking to get an estate or something, you find, because these are not commercial vineyards. These are somebody owned some land and they were making money off it, and then Garnacha kind of fell out of favor or whatever, and they quit paying too much attention to it. And these people come in and they get it, and they're old vines for the most part, and they put them back together. It takes a little bit of time. It takes a little bit of hard work, but now they have these little jewels of vineyards, and they have a handful of them there. And this is the kind of the Crianza, which is, it's got 5 months of French oak, new oak. It's in Spain they have, depending on how much oak it is, it's what it's labeled. And I don't know if this is really actually a Crianza, but it's not there's like no oak and there's a little bit of oak, and 5 months of new French oak barrels is pretty good for a wine that I found for $10. And it's a Garnacha, and this label looks kind of like a little bit of a Pinot Noir label and a bottle, and the label has a plant, and you get to see all the old vines. It's a drawing. It kind of reminds me of the movie Tremors, where you can see underground kind of thing, but that's with a earthworm from space were attacking people. But there are no earthworms from space in this one. And you got a Garnacha, and like I said, if you want the best wines, a cheap wine finder rule was, if you want the best red wines for the least amount of money, learn to like Garnacha. I have 3 or 4 favorites from there. But I'll talk about this one right now, the Project Garnacha wine. And it's a really pretty wine. It's dark red, but it's still see-through. It's one of those things that's kind of cool about it. It's got a kind of nice, savory, ripe fruit nose. It's lighter in the palate than I expected. I was expecting it to be, kind of heavy, and it wasn't. I'm going to take a sip. But it's full of flavors and spices and a little bit of herbs and some chocolate. And there's a lot going on here. It's inexpensive wine, mainly because, the expensive Grenache, which is Garnacha is Spain, Grenache is France. The expensive wines, and you can get expensive, this is the Aragon region. It's northeast kind of, but more inland in Spain, below the border of France. And a lot of the more expensive Grenache wines are from the Rhone Valley, like Châteauneuf-du-Pape and, some of the village wines there. For some reason, even though these two areas aren't that far apart, in the United States, we think nothing of driving that far, but I think in Europe, they don't do that so much. Even though they're not that far apart, just the French Grenache just kind of gets more play with the high rollers and this stuff, which is fine because it gives you some really nice little wines that don't cost a ton of money. And I'm drinking it and I'm sipping it, and it's got nice acidity. It's not one of those lip smacking ones you want to take a sip one, but it does taste good enough that you plan on taking another sip, which I'm going to do again. Yeah, it's light up front. It's got a little more weight on the mid palate, which is kind of a nice effect. And it's actually, when you get a $10 wine and it's got some play going on and it has something you can talk about how it tastes. And it has like, the mid palate, because sometimes when I have to write about mid palate, it's not that easy because most of the flavors are up front. And I mean, a good wine should have stages. It should go through different flavor stages in your mouth, and sometimes another sip will change it. And and if a wine's just simple but tastes great, and doesn't really go through any changes, that's fine too, especially if it doesn't cost a lot of money. You get your money's worth because you're getting an enjoyable wine. But when you get a wine that kind of goes through some changes, that's even better. It's, if you're into wine a little bit, that's one of the things that, make you excited. And this is, a wine from a lost vineyard. These guys, they have a map, and they have on the website, I put a link to their website, and they have this topographical picture where all their vineyards are, and they have different wines. This is, like I said, this is one of the younger drink it now wines. The other ones might be a little bit more substantial, but none of them get too crazy expensive. And it's good, and that's what Garnacha and from Spain's all about. $10, it's bang for every single one of the $10, and that's good. It's me. You're still on lockdown though. Up here in Chicago, it's gotten almost in the 70s, almost to 80s over the weekend. Everybody's out and about, but I'm glad to see that most people are wearing masks because I don't freak out so much, and they're still seeing me when I walk down the street and going out into the street. Which, I'm not offended. I'm just like, good, get out of my way. Especially people with their dogs, because since there hasn't been that many people out in the street, people haven't been as good cleaning up after their dogs as they should. It's pretty weird around here, but that's okay. And traffic seems to be picking up a little bit. I don't know if it should. People are still passing away and people still getting sick. And so I don't know, but I guess I'm going to drink some wine tonight because, what the heck? Writing wine reviews and doing wine podcasts means drinking wine. And doing a little bit of that, and you don't think so much about the good and the bad and the people who are struggling right now. And, our thoughts go out to everybody who's in need and everybody who's bored. So until the next time, we'll come up with something. I got a few things on my list. I went to the wine shop and got a couple of interesting wines that I'm looking forward to drinking. So adios. Keep it cheap. Be safe. Wear a mask. And I'll talk to everybody in a couple of days. Bye-bye.